to Plus Promotions. My name is Dylan. Today I'm going to be running through the project delivery cycle. This is basically a kind of a rough understanding or a broad understanding of what is involved in delivering a successful project. There are multiple steps involved, and from client to client each project varies. So in terms of the cycle of the delivery, based on multiple factors. So most of those factors will be related to every business is different, every project is different, everyone's lives are different, and the pace of delivery required is different. So we have to work around that. Step one though, stage one of the product delivery cycle would be strategy and planning. So involved in strategy and planning would be we're trying to get a broad outline of what you're trying to achieve, why you're trying to achieve it. That would be really involving ourselves in many ways. The first way would be basically how are you doing what you're attempting to do currently. So what systems do you have in place currently, and where do you want to get to now? In that, there are multiple factors along the way that can change the course of the project, and we are very open to changing the course of the project along the way. We keep communication as a priority, so we can do as many Zooms as are required. We have our own CRM, as many emails back and forth, multiple different groups, e.g. a WhatsApp group if required, any sort of level of communication that is needed to get a project delivered. If you need us to embed a person in your business and have a person on site for the duration of the project, we're capable of doing that as well. But I suppose the starting point is strategy and planning. So building out a clear scope of work based on existing systems, concept of where you want to go into the future, and the most economically efficient way of achieving that. The second stage in the product delivery cycle would be design and theming. So what would be involved here? It would be designing the user interface that you're going to be using. So if it was for a website, it would be what the website would look like. We'll start with the homepage. If it was going to be for an app, you'd be designing mock-ups of what the app would look like. If it was going to be for a digital system, a business system, it would be basically designing the UI of that system, and then it would be getting feedback from yourself in terms of look and feel, making sure that it's on brand, and basic ideation. So strategy and planning, once people start seeing that, once people start looking at it, they'll come up with certain concepts. But if they see the actual interface of what we're proposing, that will spark off other ideas in them, and then they'll start feeding us more information that will actually contribute to the overall project. So you'll notice there's a theme here that as we go through these layers or stages, it's all about improving and optimizing as we're going through the journey as well. After that, then we're moving on to the stage which would be deployment and integration. Basically what we'd be doing here is we've gone from a design and a theme to something that's actually usable. So we'll start to get you to actually look at something that's usable, look at something that's that you're able to interact with, and get you to start interacting with that. So we're developing the product itself, and we're starting to integrate that into the current systems that you have in place. Basically that would be taking all the ideas that we've gathered from you in strategy and planning and design and theming, and we're putting them into a live effect with something that is usable. This probably takes the most time, in that we're building out the product. The stage after that would be testing. So once we've built out the product and we've tested it on our end and we're happy with the function of it, we then give it back to you and we ask that you test it. Now there are man hours and time involved in that. you do need to spend time and interact with the system that we have developed and give as much detailed feedback as possible. After the testing phase, we will look at re-editing or changing any of the products or modules that we have built out for you. So for example, again, it ties back to point one, which is strategy and planning. Once you start testing, it's pretty much guaranteed that you're gonna come up with new ideas, problems, different ways of using what we've developed. So it's important that you work alongside of us to take those ideas and to implement them again. Generally, what I suggest is that you start off with strategy and planning, and you try to get to a live product as quick as possible. So if we're going through this whole cycle and we are working towards perfection without having something actually in the market, it'll be a complete waste of time. We'll just go round and round in circles forever and ever trying to perfect something. The entire concept of this is that we should get to a live product as quick as possible. So one round of testing, appraising the scope of work, implementing those changes when required, and then moving on to the final stage, which is delivery. Now, just because this is the final stage, okay, so delivery, you're delivering the product, it doesn't mean that the journey is over. So we've delivered the product, let's say product X, it's version 1 of product X. Any digital product should always be worked on, so it should be version 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, etc., onwards, where you're constantly going through these stages. The market will tell you what works and what doesn't work. Your clients will tell you what works and what doesn't work. Your employees will tell you what works and what doesn't work. And having a good partnership with us and a good working relationship will allow you to perfect the product over time. So that is a rough kind of a guide in terms of the actual the life cycle of product delivery and what can be expected. The keys are good communication. From our perspective, dedicating a resource from any of the clients that we work with. So someone should be dedicated to work with us full time, and whether they're reporting back to a board or they're reporting back to, or they are the company owner themselves reporting back to the company owner, it should be the same person all the time. Generally, with the larger companies, you're going to have someone who reports back to the board, and then with smaller companies, it's someone who's reporting directly to the company owner. So maybe if you're a smaller company, it might not be the worst idea that the company owner comes on those calls all the time. So that's where we're at with the delivery of a product cycle. In terms of communication, then again, so it's regular Zoom calls, if required, any sort of WhatsApp group or anything like that. We have our own CRM, emails are always available, phone calls, and if required, we can place someone on site to work with you on the project and get feedback. So you can have someone on the building for a day, 2 days. We could do a week if required. So someone's always available to go on site and work on the project on site as well. Thanks so much.